I hung up my corporate climbing stilettos. It's a story I tell all the time, and started on the consulting world. This has been absolutely perfect for me because it's allowed me the opportunity to do what I want to do, which is contribute to an organization and make a powerful impact in an organization, but also to find work that's meaningful to me that really gives me purpose as well. And it's been... Hey, Lauren, how are you?
Hi, Lynette. Here we are again, and Culture Cast continues. Lots of exciting conversations, and I don't know about you, but anyway, how are you before we get into...
I'm good. I'm really good. I actually was noticing that the past couple of vlogs we've been doing, we haven't really sort of kind of warmed up to the how are you, so, which is very unlike you. Usually I like to get down to business kind of thing. So I'm doing great. Thank you. How are you?
Good. In this case, I'm going to blame it on an Venti Americano. So I'm kind of on my get excited trend bell. You know, I've been reading more and more about the gig economy. It's not a new concept. It's been around for forever, but it's got on. There's no doubt about it that more people are working in a gig kind of way, right? They're doing a gig.
Yeah. And so like what the gig economy, right? So what really does that? What is the definition of a gig economy?
Yeah, to me, it's just the idea that that the permanence that's been around, being part of an organization in a full-time kind of way. The idea that historically that we became part of something for a long period of time has been redefined by us being more autonomous to work on things in the form of assignments, right? Gigs, as it were, right? And we do things for short-term assignments. The relationship we have with people that we do the gigs with are often more narrowly and terminated, right? They're not. And I think it's causing us to really think. So the question is how might we participate, all of us, in the gig economy in the most productive kind of way, because it impacts us all. It doesn't matter who we are. We may not define ourselves as being gig workers, but we're all impacted by this whole idea about we live in a world that's emerging more and more, and I believe will become more assignment based. And so, I guess that's the question. How might we all think about that and participate that? And wouldn't it be cool if we could, I guess my wouldn't it be cool question is, wouldn't it be cool if we could all embrace that in the more constructive kind of way? And you've been working in the gig economy in some ways for a long time. I mean, that's what you are. You're kind of a gig worker. Maybe you could talk about it from a personal point of view.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think the gig economy is just a new sort of trendy. It's the trendy name for, being a consultant or a contractor, or that person that goes into the organization and is able to sort of almost SWAT like go in, drop in, and get stuff done that whatever sort of the assignment sort of dictates. For me personally, I chose to go and leave a full-time role. I guess probably about 13 years ago. And it's been a really interesting journey. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. It's been something that it allowed me the opportunity to really just focus on contract work that I love to do. And it always brought me sort of different opportunities to learn at the same time and grow. So for me, I was getting what I wanted. I had to sort of something had to give because of my situation. I had to, I was raising 2 kids full time. I was just a single mom that was just sort of struggling to manage this full-time career and the growth of my kids. So something had to give. And so that's what I ended up doing. I hung up my corporate climbing stilettos. It's a story I tell all the time, and started on the consulting world. But as I've gotten throughout the years, as I've taken more and more contracts on, I've realized this has been absolutely perfect for me because it's allowed me the opportunity to do what I want to do, which is contribute to an organization and make a powerful impact in an organization, but also to find work that's meaningful to me that really gives me purpose as well. And it's been great. I love it. So one of the things though that, you know, you and I were talking about earlier was that the challenge that comes with that consulting sort of, consultant, like, is you're not always fully embraced in the organization. And that actually inhibits my ability to make a very powerful contribution, the kind of contribution that I personally want to make. So when you and I were chatting, I just thought, wouldn't it be cool if consultants or these giggers, if you will, were embraced much more warmly and onboarded in a way that, you know, they could make that contribution and that impact in a much more powerful way, rather than spending, you know, the first couple of months on the gig trying to figure out who's who in the zoo, what's the culture like. I mean, if I could be onboarded into a company where, you know, I was given the overview of the strategy right away, I was given an overview of the culture, you know, and I could easily determine beyond what they think they're hiring me for. I can determine more. I could probably contribute more to them just by knowing those two things, those two powerful things.
Yeah, and you know, I don't want to hold you and I up as experts in the gig economy, because there are people that think about this and write about this all the time. But we're observers in it, right? And here's what I've observed: a lot of organizations and people have come at this and have a mindset or judgment around the negative side of this. Like organizations, you know, sometimes the interpretation is we don't want to give we don't want to commit. So therefore, let's quote 1099 everybody, or let's put them on, you know, these contracts. And on the flip side, oftentimes you'll hear, well, that person's a consultant, which means they can't get a full-time job. And I think we have these clouds of BS that cloud this, what's really emerged to this situation that I think we're moving to more assignment-based relationships.
Absolutely.
Like organizations want people to come in and do something that they have an assignment that they want them to do. And it's not always that they don't want to pay the benefits or they don't want to commit full time. It's that, frankly, it's hard to see, right? So you need someone to do this. And if organizations thought, well, you know what, we're bringing Lynette in because we really want her to do this, and this is what success means, but we can't see beyond X period of time, but we're going to pay her well, we're going to treat her well, and we're going to embrace her, not kind of make her, you know, have her sit way over there and give her a different colored name tag and, you know, make her sign in all the time. Yeah, I know. I mean, those is craziness thinking, right? And then what it signals to the rest of the organization, Lynette, is that you're not permanent, you're not important, you're not. And so we have this lingering kind of thing that, you know, somehow because you're not, quote, full time, you're less than. Yeah. And I think on the other hand, sometimes people that come have that kind of transactional relationship into the assignment. And I think that needs to change too. It's like, hey, you know what, I'm here, I'm going to give it, I'm going to bring it all. So if we could cross that kind of Rubicon, as it were, and bring that closer together, I think we could turn this notion of assignments and gigging into a much more constructed, accelerated kind of thing that really benefits all more completely, both the organization and the individual.
Yeah,
and that's
yeah, I agree. I think, you know, when I'm looking, I mean, for my business, I use, you know, sort of the network, the platforms out there that do sort of offer the gig type of employee, or in the giggers. And, you know, it's interesting because I can actually go in there, I can hire this person for a specific job, and that's that person's skill set. I can choose to how much money I want to pay that person. Do I want a more intermediate or more advanced individual? And I think that's where, you know, you've got to keep going with that. You know, you're hiring somebody like me to come in and, you know, here are my skill sets, and here's absolutely the contribution that I can make. And the idea is that you embrace me, I embrace you, and together we're contributing and we're making stuff happen a lot faster because you're drawing on my particular skill set. And then my skill set maybe doesn't apply to something else, and so then I move on to the next gig. And I think that that's a great opportunity. I don't want to be in an organization for 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years type of thing. I like kind of going in and out and seeing how my work has made a difference, and then come back in, maybe spin a few more plates, and then come back out. And my job, the way I like to think of it is I like to, elevate the game. And I think that also me coming in as an external, I can take more of a bird's eye view. It's easier for me to see where there's some gaps, but I have to be onboarded to that type of stuff, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And I think you need to be, I think the idea of embracing you that way and bringing you on that way is very different than, contractor number 403.
right.
And a lot of, and if organizations were honest with themselves, they really have a lot of signals that really say to people, you're less than, you're
Yeah.
not part of. And so it's a kind of a mutually, I think, discounting kind of impact to everybody. So, and I think on the flip side is that the idea of safety nets being around us, that organizations have somehow got this big pillow waiting for us, that we're always kind of somehow we're going to be risk-free of reinventing ourselves, or that we're not assignment-based, is really false.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we are all on gigs. Let's face it.
Yeah, I
think
really like that.
once we come to that mindset, every one of us, then the gig economy is everybody. It's not those out there that, or somebody else. It's me. I'm on a gig economy.
Yeah.
I'm in the gig economy. I'm on a gig. And,
You actually brought up a really great article that you read from LinkedIn, I think.
it was the CEO of LinkedIn. Yeah. And he was talking about that. Yeah. About, they ask everybody to sort of, I think, and I may be kind of, this is directionally right.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's essentially that people sign they take on an assignment sheet. They don't take on a job.
Yeah.
And they literally are really explicit around what the assignment is. And they kind of go, we hope that you can be here for longer, but if you're not, we always want you to be an ally of LinkedIn. We always want you to be part of the community, because you're on an assignment and your tour of duty, I think they call it tour of duty. And when your tour of duty is up, there maybe is not another one, but that's okay.
Yeah.
But I think if we're more proactive about that, if we're more open about that, then, we'll be, we'll be more respectful about it. I mean, because someone's tour of duty ends doesn't mean you don't give them time to prepare for it. It doesn't mean you don't pay them some time to get off their off ramp in the kind of way. We'll be more open about allowing the right things to happen, as opposed to going, well, that's just a contractor. Screw her. When the time is up, just tell her, give her a month notice or whatever. And, these are lingering kind of old ways of thinking that get in there.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I think so from both perspectives. So the person that is hiring the consultant, the contractor, the gigger, taking that point of view, understanding that, you've got to make sure you're going to get the best value out of that person by onboarding them, not just to, okay, here's where's your desk, here's your login for your computer or whatever. It's here's the strategy, here's the culture, here's how we do things around here, and here's what we need, here's how we see you playing a part of that strategy. And then the person that's going into the gig economy, because they're looking for more maybe flexibility or purpose or whatever, they've also have to have that ownership as well. So when they arrive, and maybe that company isn't all set up with the strategy and the understanding truly of the values, ask for it then. Set the expectation that when I come here, the first 2 weeks of being here, I'm going to plan on, obviously doing the gig that you're asking me to do, but I'm also going to plan on really understanding the strategic direction and the culture of which I'm working in. Because I feel like if I bring my frameworks or my ideas, they still have to fit the culture of the organization. You still have to try to, fit into to those values. So
Yeah.
that's,
Yeah.
those are the two things that I would say from.
Yeah. And kind of building on that, here's kind of I guess, our action list for all of our listeners is number one, open yourself to the mindset that we're all on a tour of duty, every one of us.
Absolutely. I love it.
And then once you come to that viewpoint, then ask yourself, how might I treat myself and others in the best possible way around that notion that we're all on a tour of duty, right?
Yeah.
And then I guess the third thing is, don't be fearful of it, embrace it.
Yeah.
Embrace it, because then I think it contributes to this request of us reinventing ourselves, having a growth mindset, and don't expect to be hanging around doing the same thing for 25 years. It's not going to happen.
No, exactly. It's not healthy either.
Yeah, I agree with you. And that's a good way to end. The health of all of us, not the hell of all of us, the hell with all of us, but to the health. And we're all on a tour of duty, and I hope they're great ones. And let's embrace it.
Sounds good. Thanks, Lorne. Great talking to you.
You too. Bye for now.
Okay, bye.